Hello, fellow Black Ice players. This is Gamer1745 here with a support brigade tutorial. Mixed support brigade start here. We'll be looking at that. But before we begin, I hope with this video I am earning your subscription and, of course, earning that like button. And if you have any questions, corrections, tips, you can post them below. But let's get into this now. I have been accused, and correctly so often, as being long-winded, and we will be discussing this a bit because I figured most of you can press buttons or whatever you want to call these things. Right. I've played far enough into the game to get, and we will go through all of these, the mixed support choice, the motorized support choice, the armored support choice. There is an airborne one. I don't know if I'll make a separate video on that or not, but I will talk about it eventually here at the beginning. At the end, I should say. We're gonna take a look first at the mixed support choices. Right, this is one that is has some of the most varied options here. Right, you get to have basically 3 of these 8 things in your mixed support brigade as modifiers. Now, to explain those, and if you can look at the details of them, you come over here, click here, and you click mixed support. And so you can have like your choice. You will get, for mixed support, you'll get a choice here, and we'll look at it in a moment, between artillery, then you can look at the stats, rocket artillery, you can look at the stats, and pack artillery. And they have different sets of stats. And we can look at, there'll be a choice between, if you pick the anti-tank one, then you can see, and you'll get this basic level one here. And then you can have, at some point, a choice to having heavy anti-tank. You can, we'll get into discussing this in a moment. And so this is just basically looking at it. You can see, and then for motorized, armored, and then airborne. Now, airborne here, you only get to have 3 of the possible choices, not 4. That's a little more limited. All right, so you have to figure out how you want to use your mixed support brigade. Now, this holds true whether you're playing as just with Black Ice, or adding the submod Third Reich events that allows you to go to 8 brigades instead of just 7. You still need to figure out, because you can only, for mixed support, you can only have one menu, if you will, or one selection out of the menu for all your mixed support. Meaning you can't have one for rough terrain that's going to have pack artillery, and then another one for open terrain that's regular artillery. You gotta figure out how you want to use mixed support, and realize that we'll take a quick look here. And I know I'm digressing a bit, but we'll take, since we're doing mixed support, let's build what I consider a good standard infantry division here. Okay, that's your 7 brigade infantry division. That's what I consider standard, either with Black Ice, which maxes this out, or Third Reich events, which still has the 8 brigade option down here. So mostly you look at this mixed brigade, is you're going to remove one of these things, especially if you're playing with just Black Ice, and I know many of you will be. So you're going to lose one of these things here. You can't really, with mixed support, lose horse transport or division headquarters. Now, of course, you can swap, and you can't really lose this first one. Mixed support is generally intended for the horse transport or slow infantry. Obviously, you can use it with things like light infantry, mountain infantry, so you have this top brigade here that you got to have a basic baseline brigade, or regiment, or whatever you want to call this, but you've been calling these all brigades up here, and so that leaves these 4 in here that you're going to have to at least lose one of them. So keep that in mind when you pick what you pick. So that is an important element. So if you're going to, say, not use reconnaissance cavalry as part of it, make sure you pick reconnaissance as element of it. Two, another element, and we'll take a look at, is important, for particularly with mixed support, we'll get into some of the others there, is some of these, like, well, why wouldn't you want heavy anti-tank detachment? But notice, this now consumes fuel consumption plus 10%. So if you're planning on having your infantry division like this, none of these, to the best of my knowledge, consume any fuel. So if you're deep in Russia and you're having fuel, you may still have supply problems too, but if you're having fuel problems, well, at least your division here will be able to move and fight because it won't require fuel. So if you pick something like Stugs or infantry tanks or specialized special purpose armor or the heavy anti-tanks, they sort of presume that you're having trucks or prime movers or something that move it, you're going to need fuel consumption. So keep that in mind. Fuel consumption is an issue. Now, if you're, I don't know, the U.S. and you're going to be somewhat near your ports that you capture, and you're driving in, and you're doing like they did after D-Day, capturing these ports and making sure that you have fuel coming into the ports, and you're wherever you are, and you go, hey, yeah, of course, we want the heavy anti-tank, and we want the this, and we want the that, and you're not caring about fuel consumption as part of it, then you can definitely do that. So keep that in mind. Fuel is an issue, whether you want that in your for your basic mixed support. And so then you can look at, I don't know, somebody like Italy that you may be fighting a lot more in mountains, or Japan that you're fighting in China. You may want to go with things like mountain artillery. And if you are somebody like Japan, are you going to pursue going through the rocket technologies? Because to unlock the features here, but to unlock these features here, things like rocket artillery, you must, as it says, rocket artillery must be at least one. And then, so you must look at that. And here we can see, is it? No. Okay, so so you must keep that in mind if you're going to do rockets or not, or other, like if you're Germany, I normally don't research infantry tanks. So keep all that in mind of what you're doing. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so you have all of these choices here. And so I've explained basically what you need to decide. Now, for my use as Germany, I normally don't include, well, what I just showed you earlier is my standard infantry division setup. So this is for sometimes an additive to that, sometimes to be a little more special for some divisions. So we're going to look, one of the, I think it's pretty cheap to build your recon cavalry here. It's less than an IC. It normally is short enough days that you're already going longer here at 136 days. It does, they do sort of average it out. So it's not recon cavalry here. We see here currently, and these numbers do vary by your various texts and other things you have in your current practicals and whatnot in your current game. But so we can see here, adding it here, we'll jump from 9.4 to, so it's a little less, just a little bit less than than that. So it's pretty cheap. Your artillery is reasonably cheap. Your engineers are a bit more expensive. You can see here, engineers are a bit more expensive and can take a bit longer to produce than this. So one of the units that I would most commonly consider not using would be, or removing to put in a mixed support group would be engineers. So we're going to have an engineers upgrade. Okay, that's the first one. So that's one of the replacement ones. Now, one that I normally don't put in, I normally try to control the air enough, is anti-air. I normally don't throw in an anti-air brigade. So that's what I normally pick, because either these all should be looked at as one of two things. Either like we're considering engineers as a replacement, and it's not as good as a standard engineer brigade. Don't think that by throwing this in that this will give you the same stats as having an actual, anti-air unit. This is going to give you better stats. The anti-air unit is going to give you better stats than this anti-air. So these can either be additive or replacement, but replacement on sort of a weaker basis. But so we're going to give this brigade an anti-air element. So that's 2. We need to pick 3. So what I'm going to look at here is, I think because we're keeping away from infantry tanks, amphibious armor, other things, we're going to do an anti-tank upgrade. To do a little bit more of that, and an artillery upgrade. Now, I don't know if we're going to, and then it says you're finished, you pick your 4, and you're done. Or if you want to redo the whole thing, if you think you've misclicked, you can redo the whole thing. So that is what we're looking at this. Now, what I think I would do here, and I don't know that we're going to play forward to see if it shows up, because we haven't done the rocket. I think I'm going to pick maybe rocket as the extra here, because soft attack is 7 versus soft attack 5. I think I might do that to have sort of some divisions, because if I'm already having a regular artillery, so what I'm thinking of doing is making this division look like this. So you have regular artillery, now you're going to have extra artillery. So you can do, if you want to do mixed support mountain artillery to help in mountains or whatever, but I'm thinking of doing that. Now, if you're looking at possibly doing a fortress busting division kind of thing and using this as an extra for that, you probably would want to remove your recon cavalry and have engineers here. So you have engineers here and you have engineers here. And for fortress busting, it is better to have regular artillery than rocket artillery. So if you're wanting to have a mixed support into a somewhat, and there's a thread posted, and I hate, well, we won't go there. So if you're looking at something a little bit more fortress busty, this isn't like an optimized division with all of them. I'm sort of going to go there, with railway artillery and SS units and blah, 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 to make a pure optimum, but just a little bit more for going after fortress. Or if you're looking at a lot of river crossings, having these engineers and these engineers, this would be better, though without the reconnaissance, that's not so good either. So so that is, you gotta make choices. So you gotta have to make choices. So that is the standard mixed support. Now let's look at motorized support choice. Okay, so here we'll have these, and might as well start here, these 6 choices to choose from. And it's a similar sort of thing. Now, of course, for motorized, this will be consuming fuel, and we were presumably, obviously, you can stick it in with anything you want, but presumably with a division that is fuel oriented. Now, to think about this, there's a lot. We start down here and go to here. So a column plus what, 3 more things, options, I should say, that you can have with motorized support. So you need to sort of think about what you want to do with this. I tend to want to have a fast motorized support to keep, because if I'm going to have a motorized division like here, and I'm wanting to put a mixed support either as like a replacement, like get rid of one of these, or as an additive. And I will make another video talking about why I think 8 brigades are very more historical for certain nations. But as additive, what makes this particularly better than this is its speed of movement. Yeah, sure, this has a little bit of hardness with the armored cars. Some of the stats are better. In a motorized brigade, you know, if this motorized brigade has the same set of equipment as this one, the motorized is better because, you know, more combat efficient and should be. You can dig into the stats, and the stats vary with all of these different variances in it. So it's not just what it is now or one element, is because if you can shift a company, a battalion, or whatever around using motorization, whether it's, you know, your anti-tank guns, your artillery, your basic, you know, infantry company, is going to shift to a breakthrough either that you're making or the enemy's making to, you know, block their breakthrough faster and better. So the same number of troops, the same number of weapons motorized is going to be better than that unmotorized. So some of this should be a little better motorized. But the big thing is to keep this division when it moves, because you can look at the real speed here is not what it's saying here is 522, that's 6.28 or 5, because we're going into forests here. So it depends on where you're going and we're starting in, what is this? Okay, yeah, we're starting in plains. So, and then of course, speeds going across, you know, different terrains, and then river crossing things. So I want to keep my motorized fast. So I don't want to go down the path. Now you might want to, like heavy anti-tank or other elements there. So keep that in mind how you want to do this. Like I say, you will. Okay, so here now. I want to say, to the best of my knowledge, none of these choices change the production cost for mixed support. That is an important element of this. So, reconnaissance, whether motorcycles type, is pretty cheap. So we're not going to do recon. We're going to do engineers. We're going to do anti-air, because we're not normally going to have an anti-air unit in there, and that will just help there. So that's 2. Now, here comes the tricky part, because we're now sort of looking at it. Do you want to go artillery? And so we can look at artillery here. And we're not going to really look at rocket artillery at the moment. Artillery soft attack, which jumping around is 5. And then if you do self-propelled artillery here, you have just a teeny bit of soft attack improvement that sort of represents shifting of forces like I was talking about, but you speed it up by 3 kilometers per hour. Does this have a, no, this doesn't have slowness. So this would make your motorized support a little bit faster. The other option here is you can look at Stugs, or assault guns, whatever you want to call it, Stimbuschütz, as an additive to your thing. And there we have a soft attack of 6. So 5. And if you're going to go fast, plus 0.5. So 5.5 versus 6. But it also has some armor. And it has some hard attack here. Oh, no, sorry, it was all the wrong one. It does have a little bit of hard. That was a lot of hard attack. Assault guns here, you have a little bit of hard attack of +1. So it's pretty good. And you have some armor to this. So you're giving some armor. Now, you could show it, and which I first was hovering over here, you could choose to put in light or medium armor tanks, but I figure if you're doing that, you're sort of already doing, and you notice soft attack here is only +3. So this is doing a little better than in some ways, your armor. And if you're going to go armor, fine, it's a decent choice, and I would do armor and then I would do artillery instead. But what I'm going to do here is go for anti-tank. You can see piercing +5, but not pick heavy anti-tank. When it comes around, you'll have another pop-up here, and go tank destroyers, and that will do a lot more damage here, more hard attack, more piercing. So we're going to go with this. It's going to end up looking very much like the armored support next brigade. So we're going to go anti-tank for 3, and for the 4th we're going to go Stugs. So that is my pick here. So I would, if I was going to go, if I wasn't going to do Stugs, I would drop the anti-tank, do armor, and do artillery, and do that instead. So we did the engineers, anti-air, and those. Where's the Stug? I don't really see a Stug option here. The Stug would normally be a oval with a dot in the middle. Armored artillery there. So we went with that option, sort of the cool German option there with Stugs. And then for your armored support choice here. Now this is presuming everything here has a certain level of armor to it, so it's more expensive. We can see here, again for your costs here, 10.8 currently, and this will vary on your practicals and other things with this game. So 10.8, motorized support almost 7, 6.98, or down at mixed support 2.85. So keep all of that in mind. So sometimes I will have like an armored division and I'll just use motorized support with it because it is giving me considerable bonuses, but without 3 more ICs in cost. So then that does add up. It's maybe not a make or break on things. So we have these options here. So again, we're going to pick anti-air just because that's normally not what I include in a standard division. And we can look here. We have a lot of armored choices. Again, do you want this to be, and you got to think about this, and I'll see, we'll play a little bit after this and hopefully have some pop-ups quickly. No, it might take the next month. I won't do that. You can do engineers and then add like armored engineers once. So it says armored engineer infantry at least once. So you have for it to upgrade from engineer. So when you first get it, and if you pick engineers, you'll get the engineer detachment, and then once you research this in 41 or 40 or whatever, you can then get armored engineers. So engineers detachment would be this. Mostly we're seeing like some fort attack there, but mostly you're seeing various terrain modifications of either attack or movement, and then armored engineers here. So this is an additive to it. So you would get both of these. That's how this works. So we're doing air. Presumably, I'm going to be sticking this with an armored force. So I'm not going to use this as a if I'm going to stick this with a armored division, adding armor, I'm not necessarily going to do that. Now, if you want to use this armored support as sort of a cheap armored division, that's something you can consider. I know I'm talking a lot of use philosophy, but I hope it's useful. So if you're setting up a motorized infantry type division here, and instead of having 13 or whatever for a proper medium, and you want to go here, you can do like armored support. Now that's a 10. I know it's damned expensive, but it's more expensive than light armor currently, though there are things that will drive that up. But what you could do is you could do that and have a bit cheaper of an armored division. I'm not going to do that. I really think you should just, if you're going to do armored, do proper armor. So we're not going to do armored. We will do engineers. Now, if you want to go down to, where are they? Anti-tank, you can do anti-tank or tank destroyers, medium tank destroyers, and go up to things a little bit heavier. If you want to do that, we can see here, this is just doing more hard attack. The tank destroyers is more hard attack. I'm looking to see. It's all just hard attack. So it's a lot more hard attack, no additional piercing. So you're not going to pierce anymore. I think you got engineers, and you can hover over. It says you double click that if you don't want to do that. I think we're going to go with assault guns, because stugs are cool. And it's similar there. And we're going to go with artillery. So now if you pick this, and we're finished here. So now if you pick this, you will have the stug. It's in here, I know. Here we go. You'll have this as soft attack +6, but you'll have artillery here, also here with soft attack +5, and then I'm planning on going self-propelled when you get that option here, which will just a little bit more. So this is adding a lot of soft attack to a panzer division if you want to do this. And so, well, I don't want this to go too long. Let's here. I'm not playing and just getting the clock to roll. Need to get them on. I should have picked a save that's right. I'm not going to redo all this though. Right before the turn of the month. I do like that it pops up over here now, because so many times I've wanted to click something and I accidentally click a pop-up that just appears in front of me. I know some people are confused and don't necessarily like this over here. Okay, save. Now, okay, pause. Okay, let's, yeah, whatever. Okay, get out of my way, get out of my way. Okay, you'll see these things come up. This is what I was looking for here. Okay, so to have this, how these become, we have engineers available for motor support. Yes, I want to deploy them. Yes, you'll want to do that. That's the basic one. Okay, now here, you're getting your choice. Do you want firepower and flexibility, heavy AA, or mobility? And this is for your motorized support. Well, I want mobility, so I want self-propelled. This heavy AA would be like the, the idea of the Flak 88 being towed. So not quite as fast, but a bit more. So I want speed for my motorized support. Anti-tank, yes, you want that. Anti-tank for motorized support. You can go heavy anti-tank guns. No, I want to go tank destroyer focus. Again, speed for those. This is for your just mixed support infantry, so you want that. Mixed support for your infantry, you want that. Anti-tank upgrade, mixed support upgrade, mixed support. Okay. Why is this when all I have is enough? Because just a. Let's just. Yeah, yes. Well, I guess I don't know why these are giving me the option here. Because yes, we want the anti-air attachment. Yes, we want to upgrade anti-tank. Now, like I say, we don't yet have some of the capabilities, but you'll see these will turn brown once you get them. And that's what currently into effect. So some of these are not yet into effect, and it will take a while. This may either just see if it happens in a day or two here. As pause. Yes. Okay. Specialized artillery choice. So here, this is for your mixed support. Do you want to do artillery, rocket artillery, or pack? Well, I decided I want to do rocket artillery as an additive, so we're going to do that. Motorized support, yes, we want AA. Do we want heavy AA for your mixed support? Like I said, I don't want this. I don't want to be towing these big heavy guns that use fuel. That's why I don't want these. So I'm going to go, no, what I have is enough. For your support brigade, armored support brigades, I just want regular artillery, not rocket artillery. So yeah, so that's sort of a basic tutorial on mixed support and how to do it. What to choose, what to choose is up to you to a point. These will happen just naturally, I think. Once you met these requirements, you can see the things here, and that will then modify some stuff. And Airborne is just the same. You just got to pick what you want here. Airborne armored upgrade. The big problem with that potentially is your lift cost, meaning how many aircraft you need to go to transport it. That's your big cost there. Possibly, I would presume also the motorcycles. If you're bringing that in, you're going to have that anyways. You get 3 of them. Is going to use fuel. So either one of these will use fuel, but this will make, we can see here, weight plus 8, the first one there, where here, no additional weight, no additional weight, no additional weight. So that means plus 8, I don't know exactly how many transports more you'll need for each one of these, but just keep that in mind. And they did have airborne armor in World War II. The US and sort of the Germans, though the Germans didn't really use it much. I mean, they sort of used the Gigants to move it, but the Soviets tried, but didn't really do that well. So I would normally pick these 3 of just airborne artillery, airborne engineers, and motorized recon, or motorcycle recon, instead of your armor, but that's up to you, what you want to do. So if you have any other questions, post below. Other ideas for tutorials, post those below. I may get to them. Try to. Yeah, I've already asked you to subscribe and like, post comments. Yeah, hopefully you have fun. Hopefully this helped. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.